Hey, hey gang, still here. So we are going to do a smooth show car firewall on the 66 Bel Air behind me here. It belongs to my buddy Mike. We're going to do it with some tricks I've learned over the years. I'm going to pass them on to you because I'm that kind of guy. So we got to strip the stuff off the firewall, and we have to buy a couple pieces here and there, and I'm going to show you how to do it and save some money. So you can go online and you can buy these firewalls, these pre-made firewalls. These boxy looking things, or you can do it like I'm going to show you. And anyway, it requires a trip to Lowe's because we're going to go pick up some stuff. Anyway, here we go. Bye. Alright, here we are, wheelbarrows. Oh, kind of different wheelbarrows. Plastic ones, big ones, small ones, cheap ones, way expensive ones. But what I'm looking for is one that has a shape that I like, because I'm going to use part of it for the firewall. Now, this one here is kind of thin, but it'll still work just fine. $89? No, I kind of like this one better. Got a little steeper edges on it. We're gonna get that one then. 99 bucks. Plastic ain't gonna work. So anyway, we go pay for this, and away we go. Morning everybody. So we're on this 56 Bel Air firewall job. Well, we're doing the whole car, but today we're doing the firewall. So we have, we're gonna cut all the metal off it that we're not gonna use. Okay, that will be in the way. The braces for the forward mounts on the car, we're gonna cut those off. We're gonna reattach them later. So before we do that, we're gonna put a little piece of tape up here, and we're gonna measure from here to here so that we get the height right. You don't get that off. If you get too low or you get too high, it can change how the car sits on the frame. Super important to have that measurement and get it back to where it was in the beginning, both sides. Okay. For this ugly brace out here, we want to get rid of, and we're going to, come up from the bottom later on. I'll show you how to do that later on in the end of the firewall job. Which is coming off it. We're going to take a measurement of where the steering column came out, because this car already had an aftermarket steering column in it, and he liked the way it sat. Normally I wouldn't do that. I would set the steering column to where the customer liked it. I try to get them, when I do a steering column or aftermarket column, I try to get them to where they don't have to be tilted. Some people like to put them in super low coming out here, so you don't see much of it. You're gonna see it wherever it's at. But when you put your steering column in really low like that, it has the thing up in your face. All right, and then you always have to tilt it back. Okay, but not only that, on a Chevy, the column comes way out of the dash is way forward of you. So you have this big long tube that's like, this looks odd to me. So I kind of put the steering columns a little higher so that the steering column comes out already basically in position to where it feels comfortable for the driver. Anyway, little note. But he likes it where it's at, so we're gonna make a note of where this is. Okay, we're gonna cut this back in the new panel and we put it on here. The tubs that come out of here, we're gonna use remote wipers. So the bracket this can also come off of here. We're gonna leave this section in here though, okay? Because that will position the other wiper motor when we attach that later on. We come across here, we're gonna cut down below the air box again, down below here, inside of this air box here, this whole seam right here. Come across here, remove all that metal out of there because it doesn't need to be there, okay? Now, that's an ugly ass firewall. I don't care what you say. If you smooth it all out, you fill the little holes, it looks a little better. But the way I'm going to do it, it's going to look super clean. So, in a nutshell, what we're going to do is we're going to remove all the metal. We're going to cut a recessed area out of that wheelbarrow tub. Okay, it has really nice curves to it. It fits nice into the firewall. It's got a good width. We don't need to go way back, okay, because the engine doesn't need to have the firewall recessed anymore than basically stock. So we're gonna go basically back to where the stock location was before. Maybe a little bit more, but just for the most part, keep it stock. If you go back too far, you have all kinds of problems you're going to incur, all kinds of collateral damage. Your new air conditioning is not going to fit correctly because it needs that area to go around it. Okay, it's built to go around basically a stock recess. You're gonna have problems with your gas pedal because it gets into where your foot's going to be at for your gas pedal. Makes it kind of odd how your gas pedal sits. It can be done, but again, it's just more BS. You don't need to do. What else to create problem? Oh, and then your wipers again. Okay, then the outside metal where it's flat at, we're going to use 16 gauge sheet metal. I use pretty good. 16 gauge is like a 16th, full 16th, I think, of sheet metal. So it flattens it all out. We're going to glue the outside edges with panel adhesive, and across the bottom, of course, we have to form that a little bit, and we'll weld across the bottom of it. That's how we do it. I always use panel adhesive whenever I can. You gotta have it nice and flat though. You gotta have some good area for it to adhere to. But man, you are not gonna get it apart. I don't care how much of a badass you think you are. You cannot pull those two pieces apart. You will tear the metal first. Cars are built with panel adhesive today. That's how they're made. Okay, this shit's badass. So for a $35 tube of panel adhesive, of course, you're going to screw it and locate it in place, and we'll have like tags where it goes on again, so we make sure we have them in the right position. But screw it on, leave it overnight. Next day, you come out, grind it, clean it up a little bit. Boom, done. Easy schmeezy. Okay. So anyway, that will basically is the nutshell we're going to do with the firewall. I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. I'm not going to show you all the boring stuff. I'm going to go ahead and clean the crap off while film. You don't want to watch that. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting this out. I'm going to do the measurements, get those set. So when I do the measurements, I put tape up here, with a little arrow of where I measure to. The firewall is in a curve here, so you can't just randomly pick a space to measure from. Now you got to go back. You have to have something to reference to, so you go back and make sure you get your measurement back later on. Same thing for the steering column, other side. 3 places we're going to measure it. Okay. So here we go. All right. So we got all the measurements made. And all the way off the firewall you need to pay off for now. We got a measurement from here, from the top of the firewall, which is exact arrow you can see up here, to the tip of this, okay? I may end up just leaving this section here, but usually we just cut them all the way off and rebuild it. And then we have one from here, this arrow point, to the flat of here, okay? Over here, we have the power brake booster bracket and hole here. So we have one from here to the bolt, okay, the center of the bolt, and we have one from the top of the cowl here down to the large hole of the power brake booster, which also goes over to this side so that we can get it centered in the dash, okay? So boop, I'll put a hole there, I'll make a pattern, and then drill off the pattern later on. You'll see how I do that. And then over here we have the other 2 measurements to go down for the support brace. So all the measurements are all made, booster's off, everything else that matters is off. The original heater box is still in it, but I don't give a crap. We're going to cut it off with the firewall and go from there. Now this is going to be a first cut. It's going to be kind of a general BS to get rid of the majority of the metal. Then I might come back and do little touch-ups here and there. But for the most part, we're going to get the biggest part of the firewall off there, including the braces, the forward braces here. Okay, so here we go. All right. Tool of the day, grinder. Basically DeWalt angle grinder with the big disc. No guard, because men don't need no guard, just need glasses. Okay, I'm gonna cut with this dude for the majority of it. We got Mr. Sawzall up here for the light stuff we need to get into. I don't know yet, but we got her prepared, ready to go. So here we go. Tough stuff. lazy like I am at times, we left the firewall pad in there, got a fire going, so we play fireman. Got it? My fire hose nearby. All right, there's the bulk of the firewall removed. What we're going to do now is we're going to measure from here to here, get the depth. So how much of a tub we're going to cut out of the wheelbarrow donor and get that tub set in place. May have to do a little trimming up in here. I don't know yet. We'll see when we get it in there. This has got to come off yet. And anyway, that's where we're at so far. Moving along. All right. A couple things I forgot to mention. The last little segment we will show you now. So you need to know the depth of what your tub area is going to be, okay, or what your relief is here. On this car, it starts out at 3 inches up here and 3 3/4 at the bottom. So we're going to retain the same tilted area like that on the when we replace that. The way we found that, after we cut it all out, we waited till I messed up. I should have done it before. So I put a straight edge across here, measured it. Bam, easy schmeezy. Other thing is, if you're going to do this to a car with glass in it, make sure that you either take the glass out or cover it both sides, because you'll get sparks coming from the back side. If you have an interior in it, better cover it or take it out. This car, everything on it is getting redone, so not a big deal if we get some sparks on the headliner or anything like that. What else? So that's about it. I'm getting ready to I went around and I got rid of all the little leftover pieces that were on the firewall. Okay, I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna grind this whole area here, get it all cleaned up. It needs to be good grinding on it, like 36, 40 grit, something like that. Not one of your little flapper wheels. You gotta put some grinding into it. So get that cleaned up. The best we get that cleaned up, the better it is ground up, the better it adheres to the new metal we put on top of it. All right, there is our sacrificial Lowe's brand wheelbarrow. We got this last night. It has pretty good feel to it. It's nice and strong. It's got metal arms, which is kind of cool. Not that we're going to use them. I cut these up probably once a month, so I end up with lots of extra wheelbarrow parts. I must have like 20 tires now. Anyhow, so I'm going to show you where we're going to cut this at and how we're going to do it, where it's going to end up at. But first, I got to disassemble it, and we're going to go on from there. Okay, so this is the wheelbarrow we're going to be using, of course, and the trick now is to decide which end you want going up. So we have a sloped area here, okay, and we have more hardcore turn area here. So for this car, I think we're going to use the more sloped to the top. We're going to be cut off down here at the bottom, of course, because we're not going to have anything return at all. So we're going to use this for the top, and like I said, that's for the bottom. The top was 3 inches, so we're going to measure down 3 inches. The bottom we're going to measure 3.5, and we're going to add a 1/2 inch, so all the way around. So and we're going to do. Well, I'll show you what we're going to do after that. So we're going. I'll show you how to measure this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over. We're going to lay in a piece of something that's 3 inches, and then come off it, and then we're going to scribe it around the area here, okay? And then on this end, we're going to take one that's 3.5 inches, something that's the height, and we're going to scribe it, and then we'll connect the 2 dots, all right, and then cut across the bottom to get rid of the bottom piece that we're not going to need and the outer edge. So I save the bottom pieces because sometimes we use them for other things, but anyways, that's what we're going to do for this. We're going to cut it up and put it in place. So here we go. All right, now we're going to measure for the cut. So we got a piece of 3-inch tubing, square tubing left over. We're going to use it for our little spacer inside here. Got a little square. And marker. So we'll go around to mark the edge, all the way around the edge, and then we're going to go ahead and start cutting. So remember, this is the top, and this is the bottom. Top's got to be 3 inches, bottom's got to be 3.5. So I'm going to do a little short out here, 3 inches out to here, and I'll make a little mark down here where 3 inches is. Cut 2 together, and then I'm going to measure up about another 1/4 inch. Well, actually, I'll just leave this for a spacer, since this is already going to be off of it. 1/4 inch or so. That'll be our little extra that we're going to need to do our little forming around the edge. Okay, this is what I mean if we start putting it on the car. On this is a little 1/2 inch spacer of some sort. So there's the forward line. So that's 3.5 plus 1/4 inch height of the stick of the marker. Back is at 3 and what it is for the height of the marker. I'm going to connect from the side here because we're going to have an angle. So I'm going to get my straight edge, do that, and then we'll start cutting. So before I cut across the bottom, I'm gonna go measure the height I'm gonna need minimum. So I can leave a little bit on the end here if I can. So I can use other ends for other things. So I'm gonna go measure that real quick. we're gonna need 15 inches. All right, got it cut. So now we're going to position it in the firewall. We got to do to make the rest of it fit in here, and we're going to weld it in or tack it in place. Then we're gonna make our outside areas, have them come up to it, and we left a little, like I said, a 1/4 inch on the edge. We're gonna maybe flange it around the outside, give us something to weld to. Here we go. Okay, so that's what we're looking at right there. So we can't go back into here, okay, because this is in the air box. You can cut into it, move it up, both sides, make this thing super tall. Why? Okay, doesn't need it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim off this and this to get it back far enough so we can center this in the dash. It'll fit in about right there. So we can do a little shaping here. Get some go back some. Get that in place. Get it tacked about right there, and then we can get a pattern for the outside edges. The only thing a lot cleaner when it's all done. So before we weld it in, we're going to hammer all these bolt holes down and weld those up. So that's all done. So that's next. So fitting this, you gotta get centered in the dash, and getting it tacked in. So here we go. All right, you get where I'm going now? So I'm cooking up. So now I'm gonna take it back off. I'm gonna hammer out those little bolt holes, bolt indentations, flatten those out, weld those up. I'm gonna cut out the bottom curve where this tunnel is. I'm going to get some pattern paper out. We're gonna make some patterns for both sides, and we're gonna cut out of 16 gauge the flat panels going to each side, and then we're gonna go on from there. All right, so see you in a little bit. All right, there's the centerpiece in place. I got Tech screwed around the outside so that it's basically held down where it would get welded, or yeah, it's gonna get welded. So I'm gonna make the patterns both sides now. And it's coming out pretty good. Got the centerpieces welded up, gotta grind them back. You may say, why spend $99 on just this little piece? But when it's all done, wait till you see how nice and clean it comes out. Otherwise, these hard edges, and it just looks cheap to me. This looks real clean when it's all done. Nice and smooth, almost factory. All right, so here we go. I'll make the side patterns, and we'll go from there. All right, since I'm out of pattern paper, we're using cardboard today. And this is what we got. 16 by 24 inch piece. I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna draw in the back of it, shape it out. You know, 101 BS, you know what I'm saying? So the important thing is that we leave a little bit of a back cut so you can go around it, either weld it or glue it, or however you're gonna do it. I'm gonna glue it, or glue about half of it, weld the bottom of it. So I'm gonna go around and trace it, cut it, and then go to the other side and do the same thing. Like I said, basic stuff, kindergarten crap. So here we go. got our 2 powders made. Basic stuff. Now I'm gonna take them off, get the metal out, and then we're gonna start cutting. I'm gonna trace it all out, start cutting it, and here we go. All right, so I'm using a small disc to cut the curves. Use a big disc to cut the flats and straights. The small ones much go around the corner much easier. If you try to use a big disc to go around a corner, it's not gonna work. So we use the small ones I saved. I use them down in the nubs, man. So anyway, that's when I get the curves all done. Now I got nice all straights to do, so I'll put a bigger disc on it and cut the straights. One side, the other side. We'll drill the holes right now for the power brake booster bolts, and then we're gonna clap them on, and then I gotta cut the hole for the booster arm, and I gotta cut the hole for the steering hole. So this one here is pretty much ready to go. We gotta do some dressing on the back, kind of grind it down, clean it up, but we're getting there. All right, so here we are. It's like 8:30 at night on a Sunday night. I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing to rest for tonight. There we are. So tomorrow we need to, my hole saw died cutting the hole, so I gotta get a hole saw and cut that and the hole for the steering column. And do a little more trimming here and there. Turn the bottom of it up already. So this side's pretty much ready to go. That side's pretty close too. So anyway, tomorrow we'll put a fork in, hopefully tomorrow evening, depending on how tomorrow goes. It's Monday tomorrow, and the Mondays are always a friggin' zoo, so we'll see how things go. Anyway, good night now, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. All right, guys, so we are back on the Firewall for the 56 Chevy with mics. So we got the tub in place. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna shape this area out here off, roll it around, give it like a little 1/4 inch rollback. So when we bring the panel over to here, we'll roll it along here, okay? So on this side, same thing. I'm gonna roll this edge back along here and then give us something to weld to. I can weld to the edge here just like a point, but I like to have like little flat areas where the welds to gives them a little more, good. Then you can sink a weld a little better. So we do that. I'm gonna go ahead and grind all this crap off, get this all cleaned up for all the metal all the way around here. The panel is a little bit large along here, so I'll go back and I'm gonna trim all that stuff up, okay? I'm not gonna do it on camera because it's boring, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done. I'm gonna come back to you when I'm done with those areas, and we will continue from there. So roll the edges, clean everything up, get the panels to fit a little better, then I'm gonna come back. All right, bye now. All right, so we're back up this car. I'm gonna go ahead and weld the wheelbarrow section in the tub in across the top, across the bottom. Get that all done. Gotta do some hole sawing yet. And that dude. We'll do the hole saws here in a minute. So in the meantime, I'll get that all welded up, and we'll go from there. Alrighty then. So we got wheelbarrow tub welded in, ground down, all across here. So when I weld anything, any sheet metal, okay, I don't know how this works, but I see a lot of shops or a lot of people that spot weld every inch, stitch weld, whatever, okay? I don't understand how you even think that's gonna work. For me, it's full bead, okay? No way, I always do. Floor pans, firewalls, patch panels, whatever I'm doing, it's always full bead. I do not do this stitch stuff and you have little spot welds all around. No, okay, full weld. Problem with that is, especially if you're putting a filler on top of it, like the firewall, we're gonna do a little edge filler to make everything smoothed out. It shrinks back later on, or it cracks because of the flexing it does. So by doing this, it ensures that's not gonna happen. So anyway, on to the firewall. So like I said, we got all that welded in. It's all ground down. We got both sides all trimmed. Everything's pretty much set. We got the holes all done for the power booster and the steering column. Don't forget your holes for the hood hinges. You gotta drill in, you gotta come in from the back, mark it, and then measure up 2.5 inches, just so you know. So otherwise, you can always cut them in, I guess, later on, but I like to do it now. I'm done with it. Let me take the phone down here. Hang on a second. All right. So you can see on the pan here. Get this side here off. You can see where I roll this edge back, like a 3/8 inch little flange here. At the bottom it got kind of small, but it's gonna end up rolling in here and end up with a hard edge as it goes up here. So you end up with a hard like 90 all the way around here, but down here it's gonna look kind of softening out, of course, because the bottom of the car is soft here. Same thing on the other side. So that flange is all the way around. That's what, when you give it a little extra metal, okay, up here, it gives you that room to be able to dolly that metal around. Up here, I did the same thing. I dollied the edge around so it blended into the firewall on the top. So I got this all ground down here all the way around. We're going So we have the panels ground down, and where it really needs it. It's I'm not going to worry about. 16 gauge metal, be great. And this is, everything is grinding. It's really important to grind it really, really well, okay? This metal is kind of hard to face. It's been really hard to grind through, so I had to use a hard disc to grind it down. And the car's all ground down with a, I use a 36 grit flexible wheel on the Firewall. So here we go. What we got 3M, we got IES. Doesn't really matter. I use both of them. I like the IES better. It's a little smoother, it works a little better. Of course, this is a lot less than 3M, but they both work just as fine. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna finish out this tube of 3M I have. So if you start this stuff, you kind of need a gun, right? And what I do is I'll shoot it all out and I'll leave the end on there. Now a lot of times I gotta do a small amount, just a little area like that. I'll take this off, I'll shoot it out on a mixing board and stir it up instead of using a whole bunch, because you end up wasting a whole lot in the tube. So I'm gonna make sure I don't have any hardies in the end here. Got a couple of chunkies. Take off there. Put a new tube on there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay out a worm across here, and then I'm gonna go on the body. I'm gonna put on the body also. The key is when you screw it down, you don't over tighten it, because you don't want to squish all the material away. If you don't have any material there to bond, how's it gonna stick, right? So you want to keep it a little bit loose if you can. Okay. So you go with the tube there. Oh, coming to the end here. All right. So I take the tip off it, reuse it on the next one, because basically the general same size for these things. Take the tip off. So they make the stuff in fast, medium, and slow. This is a 90-minute version, I believe. Yeah, 60-90 minutes, which is pretty good. Tech screws, self-tapping. I go through boatloads of them. I never have too many. So I'm gonna screw it in, a couple screws to get in place. Do the other side and come back and do the, every 2 inches go. tightening. That is very important. Don't over tighten down screws. So there we go. It's on. So I'm gonna get this side glued, the other piece. Go ahead and screw them. Big deal. Come back and weld the bottom of the top here, down here. Tomorrow we're good to finish it off. In theory, you could probably glue the whole thing on. I have before. Some of them are perfectly set for that. But across the bottom down here, it's pretty uneven, okay? But grind down clean, put a couple screws in it, it'll probably go up just fine. So, you know, if you want to glue the whole thing on, you can do that too. But like I said, I have never ever had a problem with this stuff. I've been using it for probably 15 years, okay? I use it all the time. It's great for firewalls and big panels that you don't want to, you know, get a lot of heat problems with. All right, so I'm not gonna bore you with screwing the two panels on. I'm gonna take care of that, and then go ahead and weld the bottom across around the tub. All right, so it's all glued on. So what you do is when you have a bunch of squirt out areas, take that and you squirt it in and go around the edges here to kind of seal off the edges. So that's what I do with the extra. So anyway, screw it about every 2.5, 2 inches or so. Like I said, it's overnight. Tomorrow we'll grind it off, do a little body work. Right now I'm gonna go ahead and start welding all this stuff up. I got screwed around here also. The corners here we'll have to get down to there and we'll have to heat form that in both corners because they're a little rounded. So we'll do that last minute. Anyway, here we are. All right, so we got everything all welded up, everything all ground down. I went ahead and put this brace on over here. Remember we had a measurement up here, 22 inches from here to here. I cut it off clean. Where this panel came down and ended, and where the weld was, I just put underneath the edge of the weld and then welded it flat. So what I'm going to do is, not tonight, tomorrow, I'm going to end up running boxes this all in, probably put a face on it. I'll put a nut on here, weld a nut on here so it has a bolt to come up to it, and when it bolts onto the frame, and then this will be enclosed, and then it'll fall in with the smoothness of the rest of the firewall, both sides. Anyway, that's the location of the brace right there. What else was there? Anyway, tomorrow we're gonna start the body work on it, and then finish up the braces and put on some primer. All right, Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanksgiving 2023. So we are on the Firewall this morning, getting ready to head out to go feed my fat face. But in the morning, I was wanting to get something done, so I got the Firewall smoothed out. We got all the edges, took all the screws out, put the fill all the holes that are around here for the screws. So now we got to take and build out the braces. So I made some templates of some patches we're gonna make. Go like that. There's that one. There's that one. So we're gonna box these in, and box them in, roll a nut on here. I'm gonna finish off a little bit here, do a little finishing around the outside of it, and put that one on. I got that one trimmed down. It's ready to go. So anyway, gotta do the family thing. Anyway, so I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna come back later on this evening, sneak out later on. I'm gonna get this thing finished. Okay?
You know what buy one, get one free?
Gobble, gobble. All right, so we have these braces, both sides. I got them rolled back up in position, both sides. We trimmed them off because there was a brace. Trim these pieces off. These were on the sides, were all the way up the side here, if you remember correctly. So I trimmed it off at an angle, so they bear down. As they bear down to nothing here at the edge. So what I did was I made some patterns, and then made basically covers, you know. So go in here like this. So go out here like this. Like that. I don't know if you can see or not. So I'm gonna weld those on both sides. That'll finish up the welding. We got the Bondo pretty much done the other day, so I'm gonna do this, do a little shaping, do a little filling with a little bit of filler, and I'm going to spray some primer and see how it looks when it's all done. Okay, so here we go. All right, there's the forward body mounts boxed in, fully welded. Now I'm gonna shape off the edges here, flatten that out, clean up the back side. I didn't box in the outer sides, doesn't really need to, because you can't see any of that when the your fitters are in here, and that's way more than enough. So the front is gonna look super clean. So, all right, we get it all cleaned up, and do a little Bondo on the edge up there on top, across here, gotta finish up. Same over here, and then throw some primer on it, see what it looks like. All right, there we go. That, to me, is a nice looking firewall. Clean, clean. So, it's the first primer. We gotta block it out, get some little details here taken care of, here and there, and move on from there. So, that's the start of the 56 Chevy, and that's how to do a smooth firewall without buying a aftermarket POS and putting it on there. So there's probably what, I don't know, $130 of the materials on there versus spending $1,100 for that Speedway special thing they have going on. So now the wheel tub I use, this section, of course, you could, I just think the smooth curves here makes them look a lot cleaner. So you can buy the different shape. In retrospect, the cheaper one for $50 less, it probably would have been better to buy the better expensive one, because the metal really isn't that great. It's a little thin. The $150 wheelbarrow was a much nicer unit, and but you know, it's really about the shape. If you like the shape of it, you know. And then so shop around, you know. I used to drive by yard sales, and there'd be one out there. I stopped picking up for $15-20. I had a bunch of them around here, but I've gone through all the used ones I had. So anyway, I just buy them new now. Buy a used one too, all should get beat up and they have a bunch of dents in them. One thing is I didn't say, is when you do get one and it's been painted or whatever, If it's, most of them are powder coated, so you make sure you sand that down real good before you put any primer on it. You can't spray it right over straight powder coating. You got to sand it down real good, and it's kind of hard to sand. So make sure you sand that, prep that area before you put primer over it. Okay. Anyway, bye now. On to the next thing. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great year. Bye now.